So thanks for doing this. Boy, it sounds like you've had quite a run, my friend.
I have. Yeah, I definitely have. It's
How
been
old were
amazing.
you when you started, and how old are you now?
When I started my run or the last few years with the app stuff,
The app stuff.
I was 20, let's see, 28.
So
So
are
I
you
got,
are you 31 now then, or
I'm 31.
perfect?
Yeah,
Yeah, because it's 2009 if I remember right. Is that right when this all kind of started for you? The accident.
exactly.
Great,
Yep.
cool.
Yep.
Okay, well you sent me some questions which really made my job easy. Thank you for that. That's kind of you. That will kind of guide me along the way here, and we'll rip through this. Set to go.
Bro. Yeah, let's do it.
Great. So, hello, everybody. This morning, I really wanted to bring to you some live examples of people that have, prospered during the tough times of this economy. So many people today, if you're not in the tech business, a lot of other businesses are in really tough shape. And one of the things I've tried to get people to do is to think about adapting. Instead of continuing to do what doesn't work, find something new that can really give you some new opportunities. And the man that we're privileged to have this morning, his name is Chad Mureta. And Chad is a guy that's written a new book. It's called App Empire. Subtitles: Make Money, Have a Life, and Let Technology Work for You. And but his story is fascinating, and I'd like Chad to maybe rather me tell it as have you tell it. I mean, this all started in 2009 as a result of you were in the real estate business and had an accident. Tell us a little
Well,
bit of the story.
yeah, so I was in the real estate business, and I actually my whole goal was to get into a business that could work for me, and I thought at the time that real estate was that game,
Yes.
and so I opened up a company in 2006, which, as you know, was the absolute worst time ever to start a real estate company.
Right.
And so I went at it, and the market obviously dropped, and all the money that I had just worked, about 5 years of my life to save that I put into the business, I watched just go right down the tubes, and I was struggling, and I wasn't going to just let myself pretty much die. I was going to fight to make it happen,
Yeah.
and so it was about 3 years of just working 18-hour days, miserable, not really having a life, watching all the friends and family members just kind of fade away because I wasn't connecting with them.
Yeah.
And I remember going to a basketball game with a friend. It was like my first little vacation day in about 2.5 years. And I remember looking around, seeing all the people around, and seeing how happy they were, enjoying this moment and connecting with each other. And I was thinking, something's wrong. I have to push the pause button and assess my life because something is definitely wrong, and I have to change it up. Change it up. And so I was driving home. It was about 11 o'clock at night, and I was driving home on the interstate and just thinking about how can I change my life? How can I change things, get it back to where I want it? And this was actually before I even knew your material was out there.
Hmm.
And the universe has an interesting way to show up when you ask for it. And I ended up hitting a deer on the interstate.
Wow.
And I hit the deer going about 70 miles an hour, and hit the median, and my truck flipped over 4 times on the interstate, and my whole life turned upside down.
Quite literally.
Yeah, literally.
And
Uh,
you were in the hospital for quite a period of time then?
I was, yeah. So the doctors basically said, we're going to amputate your arm. You're never going to lose your arm ever again. And I'm in there scared out of my mind, having this near death experience, and also just not knowing where I was in life at all. Like, I thought life was bad before the accident. Now, how about after the accident? And so I basically decided to go with this groundbreaking surgery that they put titanium from my elbow all the way up into my shoulder. So it's all titanium.
Hmm.
And yeah, it gave me an opportunity in the hospital to say, I am not going back to that life anymore. Like, I survived this accident. This is my second chance.
Yes.
And I'm going to do whatever it takes to get back on my feet and to figure out a way to actually create my life the way that I want it.
How did you keep your psychology together? Did you read? Did you listen to audios? What did you do?
Yeah, great question. Well, that's actually when I started. I actually read your book, and then I got your audio. I got Get the Edge,
Wow.
and that completely changed my life and rocked my world. That's what got me to think outside of my own psychology in my head at that moment.
Wow. I'm
And I
thrilled to hear
thank you
that.
for that because that was definitely one of the biggest things that helped change everything for me.
Wow, I'm thrilled to hear that. Well, tell me, while you're there, how did this
Yeah.
lead to you becoming an appreneur? I guess is how we say it these days, an app entrepreneur, appreneur. I mean, you didn't really have any technical skills, as I understand it, did you?
Yeah.
Tell me, how did this come about?
I,
Because Because if I understand you correctly, I
Yeah,
think I've read that you've had 50 apps that have 45 million downloads. You built three companies, app companies, and sold them
yeah,
off for a nice profit. Is that true?
that is true. Yeah, so for me at that time, it was a must. It was a
Yes.
must to get out of the life that I was leading, and I started saying, I have no other choice. Like this is it. I'm pushed up against the wall, and I had a buddy of mine that came to the hospital, and he gave me an article, and he said, I know that you're this achiever guy. I know your real estate business is going down the tubes, and here's another option you should get into, and it's about apps. And it was interesting because I had just gotten my iPhone that day. So
Wow.
I purchased an iPhone. I had no apps on it, no contacts, no nothing. And he gave me this article. I read about two guys, had no tech experience at all, and they made all this money on this silly app. And I'm thinking there, I'm laying in the hospital, I'm on morphine, I'm on all these different drugs, and I start getting really creative.
Morphine will help that, huh?
Oh yeah, yeah. So I'm laying in the bed, and my left arm was the one that was crushed, and I'm left-handed, and so I'm sketching out with my opposite arm ideas for apps, not knowing anything about the industry at all, but just knowing that like I have to find a way to get myself together. And I remember all the ER doctors and the emergency ambulance workers were going through my phone. I was thinking security might be a good way to protect things on my phone. And so next thing I know, I'm somehow calling India and somehow negotiating on having them develop outsourcing an app for me,
Wow.
not knowing what I'm doing. And I don't even know how I actually wired money over there, but somehow I wired money over there and started my app journey just with faith, putting faith out there.
Wow. And I understand you
Uh,
borrowed the
yeah,
little bit of money to get started too. You borrowed from your father, or what was the amount you started with to build your first app?
yeah. I started with it's actually my stepdad. It
Your
was
stepdad.
$1,800.
Wow. And what did you end up earning on that app? That was your fingerprint app, is that right?
Yeah, that app in total, it was right around $620,000.
Wow. Not a bad return. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing what Muss will do and some creativity and some commitment. And, one of the biggest challenges I think for people is you were at a Muss point and you used your creativity to enter a new world, rather than still trying to fight something that wasn't working in the real estate side. And so many
Yeah.
people today, I was meeting with the President of the United States, President Obama, and I was saying, it's wonderful that we're taking care of people for 99 weeks, on unemployment. But if you don't give anybody skills or new talents or abilities, they lose confidence. There's no future for them. And so the secret is, you look back 100 years ago, and we were a country where 40% of the people were farmers. Today it's 2%, and we feed the whole world. So you're a model of how to make that kind of change. I'm curious. You've done incredibly well. What do you think made you? What do you attribute your success to on the App Store? Because there's almost 800,000 apps today. Is it too crowded? Can you still do well? Why have you done well?
Yeah, great question. And yeah, I think it's a moment where you decide there has to be a major change, and you're willing to let go of things that you've held on for so long. So for me, laying in that hospital bed, it was survival. There wasn't any other choice. I was going to make this work one way or another, and is reinventing myself and figuring out different strategies where I could actually succeed, knowing that the strategies before were not serving my life, were not
Yeah.
serving my business, were not serving anything. And I think a lot of people hold on to those so dearly. And so for me, when I made that decision, I said, okay, well, what is the fastest way that I can actually go from knowing nothing to learning about this business and succeeding? And it was fortunate for me because I was stuck in the hospital for months, and I was stuck to a lazy boy after I got out of the hospital for 6 months.
Wow.
And so I just stayed and I stared at this phone, and I looked at all these apps, and I just started understanding why they're successful. I
Yes.
started reverse engineering their success, their marketing, the way they're doing things, why would I download them, and I
Right.
got really present with that.
Hmm. And can you share with us? Give us. I'm sure in your book you give it in greater detail, and I want everybody to pick it up. Again, it's App Empire: Make Money, Have a Life, and Let Technology Work for You. What are a couple of insights that you give us that maybe some of the biggest challenges that you had and what you learned from them that could help other people to be able to be more successful?
Yeah. So one of the biggest challenges I think I had was, and I think a lot of people have this, is that they immediately think, well, because I don't know this new industry, because I haven't gone to school or read books about it, I can't do it. And immediately, me not being a tech person at all, I had those same barriers. So I was very apprehensive, even though I knew it was a must. I was still, okay, well, I don't know how to code, and I don't know how to do design work, and what do I really do? And I started realizing that I don't have to do that. Like I can be the business owner and actually delegate that work and outsource that work to a programmer that's really good. I don't need to reinvent the wheel and teach myself all these new skills. And so yeah, I kept on coming up with new barriers, and I kept smashing through them. Again, it helped that I was listening to your programs, where I was basically creating my new beliefs, because like anything that came at me, I was just like a ninja and smacking it to the side. Like, nope, I'm going to make money, and I'm an app millionaire, and I'm not going to let anything stand in my way. And that gave me that fuel. That gave me that strength to push through it.
That's awesome. Well, when you own that identity, it's everything. I mean, even traditional business owners, I always tell people, whenever somebody's stressed about their business, they're a business operator. And we all tend to get so caught up in it, and by the fact that you couldn't move and you didn't know anything about the industry, and you're, putting your psychology together, you really were operated as a business owner, not an operator. And the business owner is a very different thing. You were being strategic or being intelligent. You're figuring out what to do. I always tell people 80% of the chokehold on any business
Exactly.
is the psychology of the business owner, and 20% is the skill sets. You can get the skill sets if you can change the psychology. Tell me, what are the biggest lessons that you learned from doing this that you might be able to pass on? In other words, maybe some ideas around marketing. You said you saw some patterns. How does someone begin to educate themselves as to what works and what doesn't work on the App Store? Because otherwise, you can spend a lot of time and have an idea that really, doesn't have any value. One of the things I believe personally is you can do the right thing at the wrong time and you get screwed. There's no reward for that. Everything is really timing and understanding needs. How do you help to understand the needs and the timing of when to
Yes.
deliver a type of app?
Yeah, I think immediately the thing that really gave me that competitive edge was I was looking at the marketplace. I think a lot of people, what they do is and I hear this every day, they come up to me, they say, "Oh my gosh, I have this amazing idea. You have to do it. I'll make all kinds of money. It's a great thing." And I ask them, "Well, how did you come up with that idea?" And they're like, "Well, I was in the shower and I was thinking about it." And I was like, "Well, that's great, but the market dictates the idea. And something that would have worked 2 years ago is not going to work now." And so the best skill that someone can have is just being present with the marketplace. Every day, to this day, I still wake up in the morning. The first thing I do is I look at the marketplace. I lay in bed, because that's what I was doing during my accident. And for an hour, I go through the marketplace. What is working right now? What are the trends? So I look at, okay, and I'll download probably the top 10 to 20 apps, and I'll just get really present with them, because apps are expanding. Business is changing. Consumer behavior is changing. What they want, what they need. And that's very obvious on the App Store if you're present with it every day, because you see the shifts. You see the shifts from now people are getting into some utility apps because an older generation is getting apps and they don't just want to zone out on games. So it's very interesting to just be present with that and understand what's going on at that time. And taking it to the next level is actually writing it down, putting it in a spreadsheet so it's not just all in your head. So you can look back at it and say, okay, I see this happen here, this happened there. This is an app that I should do based on the market. The market is telling me what's hot right now.
Give us an example. What are two things that are hot right now that you see as patterns?
Well, one of the apps I think is hot is games, and getting it into a social component. So this might sound obvious to some people, but there's a fine line between succeeding at giving a type of game, or even like a fitness app where it's exciting. Like Nike's done a good job of this, where you get out and you can actually be active and it tracks what you're doing. And the
Sure.
best about it is that it creates a community around that, because now I can share my results with somebody else, and that might motivate that person, and he might share his results with me, or she might share his results, and you're getting this compounding effect, where before maybe you wouldn't do anything at all. You'd sit at home and think about going for a run or going for a walk.
Right. What do you think? I know there's some strict, kind of regulations and guidelines in the App Store. What are your advice for people about how to deal with those and how to consider those? And then what advice would you have around marketing today? Because obviously just putting in the App Store is not enough. How do you market and still have that be cost effective?
Yeah, my advice with Apple, so yeah, a lot of people I think it's a scarcity mindset. Immediately they go to, okay, this isn't going to work because Apple's going to slap my hand. And yes, Apple is definitely taking precautions because, like anything, they want to add more value. They don't want to spam the store and completely ruin the consumer experience. So most developers get scared about that and like, oh my gosh, well, I can't do these apps anymore. I'm going to spend all this money and get rejected. And really what they have to say is, I have to step up my game. I have to raise to a new standard. And I have to give consumers what they want and what they value. And you can't just throw any piece of crap in the App Store and expect it to make money. Because it is an impetuous sale, but eventually people won't keep using it. And so my advice to people is read the guidelines that Apple sends you and just look at apps that they specifically say to stay away from. And don't go into the App Store trying to do something that's cheap and that you're just going to spam it and scam it. Add value to people constantly, and be confident. Be proud of your app. I've done a lot of different apps, and I've known the difference of when I want to be proud and show someone an app that I've done, or if I don't even want to talk about it. And I think that's the fire that makes you that passion, that being proud of something keeps you going in that direction. You want to show it off. That really is what you're looking for. Something you're proud of that you can show off, and that keeps you going into a new level.
You sound like everything I believe and teach when you talk about the adding value. I mean, it's the only way to succeed in any business, obviously. And anybody who's trying to scam it, even if they make money in the short term, it's not can you succeed, it's can you sustain success, right? Can you obtain wealth, can you stay wealthy, right? And the only way to do that is keep adding the value. Tell me, what do you think in this world right now, what's the best way, though, to market your apps, right? Let's say you picked the right timing. Let's say you picked something the market really needs. How do you really market your apps so that you're not just sitting in the App Store, but you're stimulating it, yet still be cost effective?
Yeah, great question. The best way to market your app, so what I tell people is there's a bunch of free ways, first of all, that you can market your apps. You don't need to spend money. The beautiful thing about the App Store is that you can tweak little things like the title of your app, or you can do a different icon. You can look at different screenshots, and how do you figure out which screenshots and icon? It's just, again, it's looking at what's successful and emulating it, making it better, figuring out what people like and what converts to a sale, making it better. And a lot of those are free changes for marketing, but most people ignore those. They think it's solely the idea that's going to sell it, and how is anyone going to actually play with your app unless they actually see it, right?
Right.
So that's I think the biggest thing is do what's free first. Get really clear with the demographic that you're marketing to. I think a lot of people, sometimes they just want to market to everybody, but there's a certain demographic that's going to grab that Nike app, that fitness app. And I think understanding that person, the more you understand them, the better you can actually market to them with your description, the language you're using, and with the screenshots, making it as easy as possible for them to click that little button so they can download the app.
Now, a lot of the trends in apps, it appears, again, I'm an amateur in this process, but it appears to me as an outsider, is, getting kind of land and expand, get a foothold with something, get some traffic, and then monetize your app usually by having a system. Tell me, what do you think the future of apps are? Is that really the future, or am I mischaracterizing it, do you think?
No, that's a good interpretation. Yeah, I mean, monetizing apps, what's kind of changed is in the beginning of the App Store, you could throw out a lot of stuff. And because there was so much demand, people were downloading things. And I think a lot of developers, what they did was they went on this impetuous sale model. And I think going forward, that's going to go away because, again, it comes back to adding value. If you hook that customer and you treat them well, like any business, they're going to continue to spend money inside of your app. And so that's basically my model is I want to make sure that I grab the right person. And then I want to make sure that when they play it, I retain them. I retain them and I give them what they want. So I'll have a lot of different apps, maybe inside of my app where it says, and I keep going back to fitness apps, but say that you watched a couple videos or a couple programs with fitness and you're like, I want more. Well, you can have more. It's just 99 cents. Click here and you get a whole nother plan, or maybe it's a nutrition plan, or maybe it's new exercises that you didn't do before. So it's giving them what they want at the right time and not spending your effort or your money in doing, these crazy scammy ads that are just going to make the person put down the phone or close out and not use it again.
If you were starting from scratch today, and we're talking to people that might be, this is their first kind of venue or first approach to this, I should say, what would
Yeah.
be your advice to them? What would you do differently? Probably not a lot since you've been so damn successful, but is there anything today that you know today you didn't know then that you'd want to share with somebody just beginning the journey?
I'd want to share. So in the beginning, I kind of it was all on me, and again, I had that manifestation power, that must. I made it happen. I think a lot of people they have to get clear again, and you teach this with the reason why that they're doing it. I had every mirror quotes on. I had pictures of things that I wanted to do, and I just made this environment where everywhere I looked, I felt and breathed success. The one thing that I would do differently is I didn't realize that there's more people out there like me. I didn't realize that there was non-techie people. I didn't reach out and form a mastermind group until about a year and a half into the process. That mastermind group, it put everything on steroids. It just elevated my game because I had new people I could talk to, and again, it held me to new standards. So I think advice that I give to somebody starting out, get educated, because now there's so much information out there. You can understand the game and what to do. And the next thing I would say is reach out to like-minded people that are in the same position and form bonds with them. Work on it together. It's like a workout partner. You want to make sure that you're getting up and going to the gym every day. You're getting up and working on apps every day. And people, as you know, it's the closest point to where you want to get to is from somebody else versus from just trying to read a newspaper or something else. That's the best way to translate your game.
So, Chad, you started this in 2009. 3 years later, here you are, an app, multimillionaire. How's it changed your lifestyle, and how's it changed the way you look at your life today to have built this kind of success and to have done it in such a leveraged way?
It's been an amazing journey. I've rediscovered myself. I have done all the things that I've always wanted to do. Growing up as a kid, not vacationing, I finally understood what it meant to really get out there and see the world and to meet new people. And I think before I was so caught up in making money, and it was really all about me.
Yeah.
And now this has allowed me to be myself and contribute, to give to others, and to make that my main focus. And that has just opened up me in a whole nother way. And, I look at things a lot differently now. And my family, my friends, everything has transformed because they feel it from me. And I think back then I was like, well, you should do this, you should do that. And people were looking at me like I had 5 heads. Now they understand. They say, well, okay, this guy, he has results. I'm going to follow him because I can finally be a leader, because I can back up what I'm saying, and that's a pleasure to be able to shape and help people out.
Well, you have a great presence about you. It's one thing to succeed. It's another to have grown personally, and I love hearing your focus of added value, and I really believe that's why you're successful, and I'm thrilled to hear my work touched you. So I know you're going to come speak at Business Master here in January with us in
Yeah.
2013 in Las Vegas. I look forward to seeing you in person there. And look forward to having you come to one of the events, and maybe come when you want to break there, come to Fiji. We've got Namali Resort and Spa. We're #1 in the country in the top 10 in the South Pacific. So you come be my guest and get a chance to take some time and relax with those you love. Thanks so much for taking the time to visit with us today.
Thank you so much, Tony. I really appreciate it.
Great. See you soon.
See you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.